Still recording?
You notice that odd-shaped magnet on people's fridge, stand-up flyer in the restaurant. The odds are these are products of digital printing. Digital printing has become so popular these days due to its ease and graphic setup. You don't have to require actual plates to be made every time you print something new, and its availability to do vertical printing with ease. With digital printing so popular, I'd like to explain the principles behind digital printing and how a press works. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using the HP Indigo Press S2000. I'd like to briefly explain how the Indigo Press operates and identify some of the parts and components of the press. The basic operation of how a digital print press works is the ink comes out as a negatively charged particle. Whenever part that the ink touches throughout the press has a more slightly positive charge than the last, so it's attracted and the ink goes on until it finally ends up on the paper. The charged particles come through from the laser head, which charges a full-like piece, which is the plate, and then every piece from there on has a more positive charge and runs through. Now that we have a brief understanding of how this is done, I'll give you further details of the press and parts in the press. The digital press can be categorized into three categories: input, process, and output. The input is where your substrate is located. You have your nice input tray here, your paper sits on that, and it is then fed into by the air system here. As soon as the press activates, it's full of air through the hoses, and then you have vacuum rods that actually lift the paper up, as I'll show you later, and feed it through into the blanket, into where the gripper pulls it around. The process phase is where the substrate is received and actually printed. This is done by the following components. The first component I'll speak of is the blanket. It is located right under here. It's the rubber type material that goes around the drum. It's where the image pulls the ink off the plate and onto that, and then releases it onto the paper. In this type of press, all four colors are put on the blanket at one time and then released onto the paper. The blanket temperature is over 130 degrees Celsius. So when it comes out, it's nice and dry. You don't have to wait for it to dry a day or two or anything like that. The second component I'd like to talk about is the laser. It's located right up here. The laser head, what it does is it shoots out an image of what you'll be printing, which shows up on the computer, but it shoots that image out on the plate, onto like a full light surface. And every time it goes around, it duplicates that. As it goes through, it then transfers that to the blanket and then onto the paper. The other part I call is the scoretron. That's right here. It's a simple grid, and its job is to erase the image every time it comes through after the charge is put on by the laser. It just erases it clean for a new replication. The second part I'd like to talk about is the ink. And the ink is all located down here. It's usually 4 to 6 colors. And what it does is it takes out of, there's tanks underneath these. The ink goes from those tanks over to the developer drum. On the developer drum, as you can see right here, it'll take the drum that sits here, it'll take the ink, roll it around here, wait for the plate to pick it up. It does each color separately, and then it erases it off and recycles the ink back in the ink tanks for what it does not use. That is then put on the blanket. The separator is another component I'm going to talk about. And what it does is the ink mixes with imaging oil to make it so thin, and then the imaging oil shoots back down in here and recycles itself. Now that the process has been explained, let's look at the output. The output is as simple as it sounds. The paper comes in from the input, goes around the process, and then shoots right out right here. If you look in here, you can see the exit rollers. The substrate just rolls right out there through these guides. These guides tip it down and allows it to easily stack up for easy handling. Okay, we'll see where the finished product ends up. Now let's briefly review this process to further clarify how this works. Let's watch the press while I explain what's going on as it happens. First, I need to warm the press up. And my mouse can cut that for a minute. Okay, the mouse is working out, so I'll continue on this. I say, we're going to watch it print now. Let's start to print right here. You can watch the input. Here's where it's actually going to take a sheet of paper, pick it up, pull it in the press. As you can see, the air system here is blowing the paper up. The vacuum rock right here in just a minute will lift the piece of paper and throw it into the grippers. It'll then pull it through the press. As you can see, it's feeding the paper in and picking it up. As it's doing that, the process is going on right now. The laser head is writing on the plate. The ink sticking from the developer drum is going through to the blanket and then releasing on the paper. As you come over here, you can also see part of that going on. You can see the ink coming from the ink tanks going up around the developer drum. It then sticks to the plate, sticks to the blanket, puts all four colors on, and comes right out here through the exit rollers and the exit guides. And then you see the finished product. In conclusion of this, I really hope this is helping understand how so many common things from blank paper turning into colorful everyday products such as this. I hope this fairly demonstrates that it takes so little time to print in what is a very advanced piece of machinery. I hope this is up to your knowledge of printing. Thank you very much.